It's my trilogy of my experiences abroad. These specific stories take place in England. This town is Wroxton, near Banbury. It's this little village that's built on a hill. And at the very top of it was a pub. At the very, very bottom was a big iron gate and an entrance to an abbey. I was lucky enough to be one of very few students who got their own room. The only downside to having this room was there was no bathroom. Well, there was, but I'll get to that in a minute. I mentioned before that my room had no bathroom. It was sans bathroom. And that is to say it didn't have a bathroom inside of it, but I did have a key to a bathroom, which is where my story starts. You see, it all started with this feeling of being watched. This intense, someone staring at my back feeling. You know, this heaviness that comes about you when someone is just looking at you. And you know they're looking at you, but you don't want to look back because you're actually not 100% sure, and if you did look back, it'd be weird. Only in this story, there's no one there, or at least there shouldn't be. You see, every night was exactly the same. I would get ready for bed, I would use the bathroom, all the lights would go off in the abbey, and I'd go to sleep. And for those of you who have not had the pleasure of consuming alcohol yet, I will tell you that if you drink alcohol, especially if you drink enough of it, you will have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. You need to get the chemicals out and you have to go pee. And since a lot of my experience in England involved beer tasting, there was a lot of alcohol to be ejected from the system, so to speak. And most unfortunately for me, my bathroom was a little bit of a trek. It happened the same every time. It would be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd have to go. You can't make it till daylight. Damn, you lose. We had these like really thin, creaky doors. And first you would slowly open the door. And the hallway would be complete blackness. And when I mean blackness, I mean blackness. When you would go out on the right, there'd be, of course, a suit of armor, which is the freakiest thing at night. A good 6 foot tall, big old, absolutely terrifying. So you never, ever look right. And the hallway was about 6 people wide, and the ceiling equally as tall. It was probably about 30 to 40 foot ceilings. This is an old building, built very similar to a castle. So go out of my room and turn left. I'd be walking along, and every 20 feet or so, there'd be a door on the left. And on the right were these thick curtains that ran the entire hallway, covering the windows. You go walking down the hallway, and you feel that presence looking at you, staring at you. You don't want to turn around because you know that coat of armor is right behind you. And as you're going, the floors are creaking, and it almost sounds like there are footsteps behind you. Because, you know, the floors are so old. They don't necessarily give the same way as regular floors. They might kind of release the weight a little bit after you. So you know that sound behind you, it can't be paranormal. There can't be anything too creepy about it because you've got to stay focused on getting to the bathroom. But still, this presence looking at you, looking through you, it almost feels invasive, but you can't turn around. Other things that would happen are just creaks in the walls. The windows were old and not all of the glass was set properly anymore, and they came loose. And so wind would whistle through the windows. And sometimes if it was windy enough, they would rattle the windows, which was absolutely terrifying. And you had to do everything in your power not to run. And so it would walk about 50 yards down the hallway, at which point you could either continue, which would lead you all the way down to the other side of the building, or you branch off into this tiny little hallway, just about the width of myself, that goes like this, and then like this, and up 3 stairs, into this very narrow, tight, person-wide hallway with a ceiling that's only about 7 feet. And so you start feeling this claustrophobic feel, which if you've watched my other videos, you know I am not cool with. And at the very end of the hallway, there's a door facing you. And that was somebody else's bathroom, but mine was over here on the side. And you take your old iron key and you stick it in the door and you turn it, and eventually it unlocks. And you go inside, and the door almost doesn't even have enough room to open all of the way before it hits the wall against the other side. And you go inside, and the bathroom's even smaller. The mirror is slightly slanted with the toilet underneath, so that you really have to duck. Right next to it was a sink and a glass shower door. Again, was very difficult to open and get into. You had to sort of snake your way around. And then inside the shower was pretty much a tight box with a faucet over top and a little crank right here. And then the trip back was just as awful, because now you're exiting this little tiny hallway, going towards the big massive hallway that just looks like a dark void. And of course, you know, you've had the light on in the bathroom because there is a mirror there and you cannot be in that bathroom without a light on. But now that you've turned the light off, it's pitch black and you can't see anything. And many a time I fell down those few couple of stairs that led back into the large hallway. And as your eyes are adjusting, there's always that coat of armor all the way at the end of the hallway waiting for you right near your door. It was horrible. And I'm kind of a sick person. I really like to challenge myself. I used to get really scared going into the attic and the basement when I was a kid, and I would wait and I would stand there and feel whatever was around me, those bad feelings, and I would see how scared I could actually get and how long I could stay there before I ran all the way to my room and hid under my covers, which I don't really understand why people do that. Covers are probably the least safe thing to hide behind. So in all those times walking back and forth to that bathroom, the scariest thing that happened was that presence, that feeling of like someone watching me, someone even maybe disapproving of me walking down the hallway at night. But I never saw anything, not then. But oddly enough, one morning, I was taking a shower and almost everybody in the whole building was off in the carriage house, which they turned into a cafeteria and served the absolute best breakfast I have ever had every single morning. But this morning I was hungover and I didn't really want to go to breakfast, and I had to give a presentation and I wanted to be extra fresh. So I stayed behind, slept in a little bit, and made sure I got a shower. And I was in the shower in this tiny little bathroom, the door closed and locked, and I was the only one who had the key. And I was washing my hair, which was a little bit longer at the time. I have soap all over my face, and all of a sudden, there's this loud smack against the glass door of the shower. And it freaks me out, and I jump up and I hit my head on the ceiling, and I come down and hit my elbow on the faucet, which turns the water scalding hot. And I'm freaking out and I can't see, and the water's getting hotter, and I slam my body against the tile, and I'm reaching behind my back trying to get the faucet to turn to a cooler temperature, and I finally get it cooled. And I rinse off the soap from my face and my head, and I notice that the whole bathroom is filled with fog from the hot water. And I wipe on the glass window and I'm trying to look through it and there's nothing there, just this fog. And so I crack open the door and I'm looking around and the mirror's completely fogged, and everything looks exactly the same with the exception of my razor. My shaving razor that was in the toothbrush holder on the sink was now on the floor right in front of the shower. And I know for a fact I always kept it in the same place because I'm a little bit anal retentive with the way that I keep things. And I know it was in that toothbrush holder. And yet somehow it hit the door of my shower. Needless to say, I was pretty freaked out. I had no way of explaining it. I finished my shower and I went to class and eventually slowly put it aside as just, well, maybe that didn't really happen. Maybe I was just too tired, or maybe I didn't realize that I had dropped it right before I went in the shower or something. I don't know. But that was the first few weird things that happened at this school over in England that I wanted to tell you about, because I thought it was weird and I thought it was fun. I hope you enjoyed my story, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.